Okay, wonderful. So thanks everybody for having me back on stage again. If my slides can please come up. This time I'm prepared. This is why I actually had them in my bag. I had 2 fans in my bag, and then I came up here and completely forgot, but there was a nice fan blowing over here, and I was happy that it stopped. And then here I was. Anyway, so yes, I'm here to just tell you a bit more about the CAS. As I said, I am a CAS actuary, and actually just been nominated to be the next president-elect of the CAS, which I'm really excited about. First president in Africa, first black woman, so, it's possible. It's possible. Congratulations, ma'am. Yeah, it's possible. Okay, so just to tell you a bit about the CAS. So, as they said, if you heard on the video, we do specialize in non-life insurance, also called property casualty insurance, also called general insurance. So whenever, and sometimes I use those interchangeably, so whenever you hear that, I'm just referring to non-life, general insurance, P&C. So the CAS is the only actuarial organization in the world that specializes in non-life insurance. We have nearly 12,000 members worldwide, and the CAS, a member is an associate or a fellow. Students still take exams, but you don't become a member until you're an associate or fellow. So when we say members, we mean associates and fellows. 17% of candidates are located outside of North America. Oh, I'm also the first president not based in North America, by the way, which is also great. So you can see that the CAS is becoming more international. The candidates are taking exams in 53 countries right now, which is quite a bit, and we have increasing interest from Africa. So, when I moved to Nigeria, I think there were only 3 CAS credentialed actuaries in Africa. Now, I think there's about 7, but then interest is definitely increasing. People are starting to take exams, which is wonderful. Next slide, please. So one of the things I like, next slide, please. One of the things I like about general insurance is that we get to do a lot of different things. I don't know if you can see this very well, but there's so many things that we do, and that's what I find exciting. There's cyber insurance, which people, I'm sure you guys can relate to. You all use computers and phones. There's directors and officers insurance. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. Is there anyone that knows what that is? No? Yes? So you're essentially ensuring the decisions of the big bosses in your companies. And sometimes they make the wrong decision, and sometimes that results in some sort of liability. So the insurance will pay for that. There's, earthquake and flood, maybe you guys know about that. Pet insurance, I don't know if you guys knew that pet insurance existed. Yes? No? Definitely not really a big thing here, but in Asia it's growing quite significantly, because people are starting to, pets cost a lot of money, right? It takes a lot of money for them to go to the vet. People are starting to pay for things like that. Even sometimes, some people have vicious dogs or something, they might attack somebody and people pay for that liability. Renters insurance, it's something that exists here, but maybe not that common. So as a person that rents from a landlord, you can actually insure your property, your contents, so that if there's a fire or something, that will be replaced. Let me see what else. Travel insurance, maybe I'm sure that's something you guys know about. Marine and shipping, so this is one of the reasons I like not just general insurance, but also reinsurance, because we get to do a lot of the big things. Those big cargo ships that you see as a papa sitting there, or if you go to the beach, sometimes you see a long row of ships there. We insure all of that. We have to understand what's in there. Also power plants, huge power plants. I talked earlier about engineers and their physical infrastructure, and then we have invisible, our infrastructure is invisible, but we get to learn about power plants. We get to learn about oil and gas. You know, I remember when I first started working in GI, and then, you know, they're like, energy offshore, energy onshore. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, so you get to understand all of these different things. And I think somebody also talked about earlier how you have to understand the product. And that's actually one of the things I also find exciting about general insurance. No offense to any life people here, but a life is a life. You know, but if you know, when you come to this cargo ship, I have to understand it. When it comes to this power plant, I have to understand it. When somebody, you know, I think someone called me and said, oh, you know, the new Nigerian laws, insurance laws, like you now have to insure petrol tankers. And my first question is, well, what is the coverage, right? So you have to actually now sit there, understand, think about it, you know, so I love this. Let me try one more. Trade credit. Has anyone heard of trade credit? No. You see, none of you guys know. So many exciting things for you to learn. So trade credit, this is when, you know, when you're doing business with people, sometimes you actually deliver the goods before they pay you, or say you're building a big construction, you might start working on it before they pay you, but guess what, they might not pay you. I'm sure some of you even know, I heard some of you are entrepreneurs, some of you even know that. So trade credit will ensure that, and it will pay you if the person defaults and does not pay you. So we have lots of different risks that we cover. Next slide, please, thank you. And we work in lots of different sectors. Academia, banking, well, you know, some of these I also mentioned earlier. Regulatory agencies as well and are growing, and in other countries you do see people working in government and influencing public policy, which is great. Transportation, I talked about how the head of analytics at Uber is PNC actuary. I heard Landry talk earlier about Amazon. Yes, there are actually lots of CAS actuaries working at Amazon. There are lots of them working at Expedia, which is kind of similar to Waka now. So there are lots of places you can work. You just need to understand the risk. You just need to understand the business, and then you apply yourself. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I'll touch very quickly about why general insurance matters in Africa. And I think maybe historically, and I like Najite, is that how you say her name? Najite. Yeah, so I liked your question earlier. So I think life insurance is the default people think about when they think about actuaries, because it's probably because people don't want to deal with life mortality tables and complex calculations, probably, and that's where they just think. But in non-life, I think I mentioned this earlier as well, that for us, our risks are very, very volatile, okay? There's an earthquake, huge losses. There's a big fire, huge losses. A building collapses, huge losses, right? And you need, the uncertainty is there, it's great, so you need more actuaries to be able to look at that. I don't know why, you know, I think maybe because they think it's short term, people, at least within Africa, have tended to leave it to the underwriters. But actually you don't want to do that, really. You know, if you want to really manage that risk properly, you need your non-life actuaries. And actually governments are starting to realize that. Even here in Nigeria itself, NIRA, Nigerian Insurance Industry Regulatory Act. Has anybody heard about that? Yes, okay, wonderful. So NIRA is now requiring sign-off by actuaries. And before, it only used to be life. Now, non-life, okay? They're also starting to realize that, yes, you need more non-life actuaries. And as that happens, when a company now has to pay for an actuary to sign off, are they going to pay you if you're like, oh yeah, you vote? No, they're going to pay the person that says, no, this is my specialty, right? Because they want that extra knowledge. And also, you know, I know I'm still on that first point, but what I've seen, like a lot of times people think, oh, you just need to be a generalist, and that's fine. It is true that within Africa right now, you do need to understand, like, life, you definitely need to understand both, okay? Or many aspects, because they can pull you in anywhere. Like Salome was saying earlier, they can pull you in anywhere. But what we're seeing as there are more and more actuaries on the ground is that the specialization is becoming really important. So I used to go to Kenya for their conference, and I remember the first time I went, maybe like four years ago. Oh, I'd ask people, what sort of actuary do you want to be? Oh, just general, whatever. When I said general, it's like just a generalist, as in life, not life, I want to do both. Fast forward, not even 2 or 3 years, I go there, I'm like, what sort of actuary do you want to be? Not life. Like that happened really, really quickly. And I think it's important to make sure that we're ready, because sometimes I think people underestimate the pace of change. Change can really happen quite quickly. So yes, rapid urbanization, climate and catastrophe risk. So Africa is supposedly the most exposed continent to climate risk. That is a non-life risk, right? If we really want to be able to address that, we need people who understand that risk. Infrastructure, agricultural risk, and food security, again, non-life risk. Again, something very important for African societies if we want to develop. Where does that fall? PNC. Okay, I think you're getting the picture. So we can move on to the next slide, please. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the CAS education pathway, because I know most of you are more familiar with SOA and maybe IFOA. Next slide, please. So, like I said, more and more people are choosing the CAS, and the reason why they choose the CAS. One of the things that stands out the most whenever we talk to people is that the CAS exams are practical. Literally, that's the first thing people always say. You learn, what you're doing in the exams is not just something that, oh yeah, pass an exam, another credential behind my name. You're actually learning. And again, I'll take another example from Kenya. There was a student there who was taking exams, and you don't have to take our exams in order. You can take them in whatever order you want. And he skipped his exams and went straight to the one that covers reserving in IFRS 17. And he came to me and he was like, Yvonne, that exam solved all my problems at work. Because what I learned is exactly what, the issues I was facing are exactly what I learned, and I was able to just address them because I learned them in my exam. So, practical exams, I think that's the thing that does differentiate the CAS, other than just the fact that we're specialists in that. But people always talk about how the exams are practical, and of course, when you get the exams, you get the credential, people take notice, you become more highly in demand. I don't know if you know the statistics. Maybe it doesn't apply here in Nigeria so much, but I'm sure it will get there. So if you look at actuarial salaries, PNC actuaries actually on average make more than life actuaries. I wondered why. I think it's because we're more specialists. I think it's also because on average, one PNC actuary probably looks at more premium volume than a life actuary. But anyway, that's the statistics that's out there, especially in the developed world. In Nigeria, we're so few. People are just happy to get an actuary anyway. And then of course, global recognition. So for myself, I've worked in 4 countries now, 3 continents, and I think my credential just followed. I did not have to do anything. People recognize the CAS, people know it's the global gold standard for non-life insurance, so they see you, they take you, you move on. Next slide. Next slide, please. I don't know who's controlling the slide. Oh, there we go. So yeah, just to give you a bit of an idea of the pathway. I know it's very hard to see, but I do have some pamphlets, maybe I'll give them out. So we have what we call the preliminary exams, that's what you see in blue. And that is where we recommend you start, because that aligns more closely with your university work. So probability, exam P, people are familiar, exam FM, people are familiar. VEE, validation by educational experience, people hopefully are familiar. So all of that preliminary stuff, but the CAS also aligns exactly with what the SOA does. The CAS also has 3 courses that we call the Data and Insurance Series courses, and these are practical again. one on data science, one on risk management, and the other one is on insurance coverages. So that one's not so exciting, but it helps you understand how to read insurance coverage forms and understand what's going on, and that's actually very important as an online factory. Then we have our citizenship exams, that's what's in the middle. So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend you try to go from here right to the fellowship exams, because you want to make sure you get your associateship first. So, we have various statistical ones. We have pricing, reserving, financial reporting, and that's where the IFRS 17 exam was. And we also have a course on professionalism, which I think is not that unfamiliar. And then our CAS exams, we have advanced reserving, advanced pricing, and then a risk management exam. So the interesting thing about the CAS exams, so everybody takes the same exams. For CAS, risk management is inbuilt into our system. So every FCAS has taken risk management. Like other places, you'll see somebody will need to get a separate designation and take a separate exam on risk management so that they'll have that designation. For the CAS, we all take the risk management exam. Next slide, please. Okay, and then our exams, the lower level exams, we do the same exams as the SOA for P and FM, so those are 6 times a year. Our mid-level exams are 4 times a year, and our upper level exams are twice a year. Next slide. And then we also have exam waivers. So, what we recognize that it's very hard for you to make a decision on specialties when you're early on your career. So we actually accept exams from other organizations. For the SOA, we actually do the same exams from the beginning. We actually started doing them together, and then the SOA now does them on their own, but it's the same exam. So the SOA is the same, VEE exam, PFM, we take the same. We just call P1 and FM2, because it's easier to count in numbers. And then for IFOA and ASA, we accept CB1, CB2, CS1, CM1, CS2. So those are the same exams that if you get the masters here, you'll get those credits, right? So you can get those credits from the CAS as well. Next slide. And very important, so the CAS was actually one of the first to do this in a very clean and simple way. So anyone from Nigeria gets 75% off the exam price. So whatever price you see, 75% off, that's what you're going to pay. So we do that for people all over Africa. Like I said, no membership fees if you're a student because you're not a member. So you just pay for the exam, 75% off, you take the exam, you move on. And then we also do offer some scholarships which you can earn with participation in our summer program, which I'll talk about in a minute. Next slide, please. I'll tell you some resources you have as students, which apply directly to you guys sitting here. Next slide. So the first, and I remember there was a young lady asking a question here about what to do. You've just started university, what can you do? The CAS has some resources. The first is Join Student Central. So we have a website just for students. It's a portal, it's called Student Central, and on there you've got access to webinars, access to practice exams, access to different tools, access to case studies, access to scholarship opportunities, although maybe you might only be able to do the online ones because most of them are in the US, but that's fine. But if you go to the next slide, I'll tell you about another opportunity or two that you can join. So please, just join the Student Central. It costs nothing, right? You'll get access to all of this, and you'll get tools that you can use to help improve your knowledge of actuarial science. Next slide, please. I don't know who's doing the slides. I want to be able to look at your face. Here we go. Thank you. Okay, and then we've got educational programs. So we have this thing called the Student Summer Program, which it was actually designed during COVID because many students were not able to go do their internship. So they designed this program where you could enroll. There are 2 formats. There's one that's mentor-led, where you get a mentor and you go through all the courses, and then there's one where you can just do by yourself at your own pace, in your own time. So you can apply, again, it's free. It is getting more competitive, but if you don't get into the mentor-led one, you can, the self-study one, usually you still get into. And then we have this course called the PNC Actuarial Essentials. You do have to pay for that one, but again, 75% off. So if I'd recommend anything, student summer program does not cost you anything. Just when you see the applications apply, I think they usually show up around March time. So it's happening right now. You can't apply this year, but you can apply next year. Next slide, please. And then the CAS Trust Scholarship. So CAS does have a scholarship award that it gives. It awards, I think it's 8 scholarships a year. There are different grants, $2,500 or $5,000 to help you pay for exams, study as an actuary. I do warn you, they are competitive. So, and the applications open in January. So what I would recommend is you go to the website, look at the requirements now. One of them is being on the Student Central. Look at the requirements now, start building your resume now for this, and make sure that when the applications open, you'll be ready. Like I said, it's competitive, so you want to put in a quality application. Next slide. Again. So just for the professors in the room, we also have Academic Central. So just like the Student Central, there's Academic Central, but this is now for professors. And actually, professors that have signed up for Academic Central get free access to all CAS events. I mean, I don't know why, it doesn't cost you anything to sign up, and then you get free access to all of these things. So again, recommend this. And if your professors aren't here, tell them to sign up. They also get access to a teaching materials library and case studies, so they can include practical insurance-specific items in their curriculum. So again, recommend this to your professors so that they can teach you some, or you guys can go through some insurance case studies in your actuarial case studies in your classes. Next slide, please. We also have lots of publications and research, like lots. And just remember, CAS is non-life, so all of this is non-life related. We've got Actuarial Review, that's just a magazine, easy reading. Variance is a very academic journal, and it's peer reviewed. All the papers are peer reviewed. There's an e-forum where people can also just post their papers in there. And then there are various research opportunities that you can actually apply for, and you get research grants to be able to do research that's relevant to our industry. And they're always looking for ones that are Africa relevant, so please take a look. All the QR codes will lead you to the relevant websites. Next slide, please. Oh yes, and we have this thing called Quick Start Grants. Again, just for research, it will give you $50,000 US to do research. So, again, submit something, a quality proposal that is relevant to our industry. They'll give you money to do it. If you scan the code, you'll be able to do that. There are lots of calls for papers during the year, and those grants are accessible, so please apply. Next slide. And then, of course, I heard someone talking earlier that UNILAG is recognized by IFOA and SOA, but I don't know if you guys know that UNILAG also just received the silver recognition from the CAS, so congrats to you. So there's actually bronze, then silver, then gold, so you guys got silver on your first try. You're the first African university to receive this, so again, congratulations to you guys. And for those of you who aren't at UNILAG, please, you can also apply for this program. It's on the CAS website for your university to be recognized. And I think I have just 2 more slides. So just to summarize the resources that we have and maybe what applies to you, where does it fit? We've got our Academic Central for the professors, free access to meetings, the University Recognition Program, and research opportunities. Please just go to the CAS website. There's a whole plethora of resources that are available to you. And then for students, Student Central. Again, if you're asking where do I start, just go and sign up. Just go and sign up. It's free, costs you nothing. Summer program, the PNC Essentials course, those are practical courses that can help you build actuarial skills. I've mentioned the exam discount, 75% off. I've mentioned the DIS courses that are practical, and also the Trust Scholarship. They really do want to see more applications coming out of Africa, especially quality ones. So if you're going to apply for the CAS Trust Scholarship, please do take my recommendation. Sign up for Student Central now. Start building your knowledge base now, so when the applications open, you will be ready. Okay, I think, let's see, what's the next slide? Okay, just questions. But if you go to the slide after this, I'll just keep it on there as we're asking questions. So there is going to be a webinar between CAS and ADA that's going to talk about the CAS pathway a bit more, and also have people from Africa who've taken the pathway as panelists telling you about their experiences. So please sign up. The QR code is here, and you can attend the webinar. It's going to be on the 7th of July at 2 p.m. Lagos time. Thank you.